Hello and welcome to Dynasty Global Podcast. It's been a while.
It has been a while. That is true. Most it's
I'm yeah, I'm Thymine and we're with Fatty.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to the most recent episode of the Dynasty Podcast, and through 100% my fault that it has not gotten as many episodes as it should have, mainly because I myself was very preoccupied with the initial launch and the organization of the guild, so I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. You guys probably know that with how erratic my stream schedule is, but finally, as we've gotten more help with managing the guild, a lot of stuff has been taken off of my plate. We can have these episodes a lot more, often now. By often I mean like every Sunday as usual, or Monday for me. Also, we'll still have the Rue is a Dating Game show on Fridays, and then I actually have a steady streaming schedule that people have been asking for a while. So but that's not what we're here to discuss at the moment. What actually are we here to discuss, Thai?
Oh, we're here to discuss a few things. Obviously we're going to talk about the patches coming up because there is a big one coming. Other than that, we're going to discuss how the game has progressed. And it's been only 2 months, but the game has moved along pretty fast.
A lot faster than any of us anticipated, for sure. And also the other thing that we want to discuss after, which is going to be towards the tail end of like the discussion, is our predictions and as to why we predicted like certain classes to come out first before anything else, for any other class. But so stay tuned to that. But yeah, how has Ruben for you for the past like 2 months? What's your impressions on it?
Well, for Root Global, there's like a lot of differences from NA, obviously, but for me personally, it feels like the progression is like pretty good. Like even if you're a dolphin or a free to play, there are so many resources that you can like keep up with people. Well, at least the average player, because you're obviously not gonna like go over whales.
Yeah.
But it gives you a lot of resources, and that's like right now my heal and my tankiness is really like surprising compared to like what I remember at this level 80 on NA. Yeah, it's a drastic difference.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's like very speedy in updates.
Yeah, very speedy in updates for sure. Same thing. I actually share the same sentiment. I mean, we do have a lot more besides the additional resources, which is plain and obvious at this point. The fact that like we also have all these other systems that we didn't have at this level in NA, which has made it like possible for us before it was thought to be impossible for people to do Bafo pre-80, and then we were proud to do it at 70 with like the resources that we had. But now with Global, it was actually possible at level 50, which is pretty crazy.
Pretty insane.
Yeah. So
and then also right recently we got sigils, which didn't come out on NA until like around the same time Global came out. So that's like how fast this server is going.
Like 110, 115 was it? Like server level, something like that? Yeah, it's pretty crazy how like soon we've gotten these things. It's the same thing for like Juperos too. Juperos, I think it was like a level 110, level 115 content in NA too. So like when I got this, I was like, there's no way we're gonna get to the max level. Even like whales, right? Like whales, but once it came out at this early, I was like, not even whales can probably get to like the max level in Juperos right now. Like it's too early for it to come out.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Although not a lot of complaints about it with Juperos coming out. Like I still think that sigils make the game pretty like imbalanced, because like if it was hard to balance before, like the LK issue hasn't even been resolved yet, right? Like they're still very underpowered. They still don't scale, and then now you put all these other things with like sigils that are just make it so much harder to balance for like the devs, or if they even have a balance team for them to balance, because they haven't even resolved the issue of class balance. And you know, like I was doing the sigil tier list earlier, and you know,
Yeah.
as we were running through it was just like, wow, like a lot of these like shield sigils like indirectly nerf uh champs, for example, and they already got indirectly nerfed when HP values in PvP got like tripled. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's both filled with good and bad. Causes imbalance, but at the same time, Juperos is like just good because of the fact that like, hey, now free to play, as long as they do their Juperos like runs a week every week and their assists and everything, they actually have a steady stream of like Zenny income, which is
Yes.
like a consolation prize. Like it's a silver lining because you know core maintenance does get pretty expensive.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
really
that's what
good.
I heard about NA as well. Cause yeah, when Sigils came out, that's how people just started farming Zenny,
Hmm.
and it didn't become a problem anymore.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. Besides sigils, we did mention that they were coming out with that update too fast. I think everything in general is coming like really fast as well. I mean, we're even being told of like cross server PvP already, which is incredibly fast. Like
Yeah.
2 months into the game, we get it, which is a good thing, right? So like
Yeah.
things coming like you know like updates coming too fast. Definitely is not an indication that everything is bad. Like for a lot of the things, it is actually pretty good. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, but like in terms of like content, which one are you looking forward to like of getting released?
Ooh, I am excited for a GH release.
GH release, yeah.
Yes.
Especially as priests, huh?
Yeah. Lots of good leveling spots for people coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of new cards,
Mm-hmm.
new
Exactly.
MPs, minis.
Yeah. Do you think that we're gonna suffer the same way that we suffered trying to clear Albaran? Like
Absolutely. I was trying to get a Dokopi card and a RGOP before GH, but it's not happening.
yeah.
Just in preparation.
Yeah, I guess. Which is kind of good. The you know the Albaran being like very difficult because it's kind of like an anti whale MVP almost because like like
Mm-hmm.
even like the biggest like giga whale like players were not able to tank it. Like I remember like being having all the necessary card and equipment counters and like elemental counters on like Evil's account, for example, right? And he was still getting one shot, which
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy. But it's good because like that is like a kind of like a mechanic gap or mechanic check almost of a boss because you really need to know how
Yeah.
to rotate him.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully all these
Oh,
feathers they don't diminish that difficulty because that was actually
yeah.
fun.
It would be a good practice for like comms as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there is a lot going on with Albaran and even Dark Lord.
A lot, yeah. Um, yeah, Dark Lord definitely needs a lot of callouts. I feel like Dark Lord almost, if you can tank his like single target abilities, it actually becomes easier to just duo him at
Mm-hmm.
some point versus like having a lot of people. But again,
Yeah,
yeah,
because of the blood.
yeah, exactly. Like every time somebody dies, like he summons like an AoE on the ground that persists,
Mm-hmm.
similar to like Bafo's Eye AoE. But in terms of like upcoming content, man, like last time is definitely a good one. I feel like last time, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not at the same time because
Well,
there's a lot of
why not?
shadow mobs there, and you know,
Oh,
ghost damage deals less damage to shadow monsters. So grab
like
field users,
I'm a
yeah.
priest. I can't relate.
Oh my god! And one of the best like leveling mobs is Dark Frame, right? And he's
Yes.
shadow.
Oh,
So,
mhm.
I mean, Magnus priests are definitely gonna have a field day with Glassheim, um, but Gravity Field Wizards not so much. We might,
Well, there's like other leveling spots that wizards did like go to, like sage worms
yeah,
and close.
Sage Worms are good, especially with Earth Lord. I'd have to say.
Hmm.
Um, eventually, Arklaus.
Yeah.
Arklaus is a pretty good spot. I think Arklaus is level 102, so you need to
Yeah.
be 80. Oh, I can't do math. 80, like 87. right?
Something like that. Yeah,
87.
because it's 15.
So
Yeah.
if you can get to 87 before Glass Time comes out, or as Glass Time comes out, then it would be better for Grab Fuel Wizards to just head to Arclaus versus, grinding at Dark Frames. Emmy Priests would definitely want to grind there for sure, because Dark Frames are just really good if you go to the duo spot, like in Courtyard. But yeah, that's a silver lining. 87, that's the new goal. I'm 85 right now. I have a month to get to 87. So I don't know.
I mean, it's doable.
87, yeah, 87 should be very doable, because like once Blast Time comes out, level 90 obviously is going to be available too, right?
Yeah,
So
soon.
that's an excuse for me to do all my quests to get to 90 faster. Let's see. What about for I think level 90 is a bigger update for priests than it is for wizards, I feel. Because of the magic
I guess
type.
it depends on if you have like a plus 15 accessories and stuff. Because I recall the Bloody Knight accessories, you need that
Combo.
plus 15.
Yeah, the combo accessories.
Otherwise, Angelic Ring is what you want to stay with.
Yeah, that's good. Bloody Knight, definitely caster's like favorite MVP. We don't really have to worry about Chimera, don't we? Like we don't like Chimera is just like for melee and like snipers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the snipers want the the rogue's treasure or something like that, and then tanks and melees want the medallion, whatever, whatchamacallit, like the yeah.
I forgot about Chimera because on NA, eventually people just kind of stopped doing him.
Yeah. And then, man, we do Bloody and we do Dark Lord, right? We don't really worry about Albaron. Well, I mean, we still have to quote unquote worry about Albaron, just because we can't just abandon our guild mates and just
Albaron definitely good for like our melee and snipers and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll still have to help them with that. But the thing that I'm looking forward to, which I hope, because in NA, how long did it take? Like 4 months, 4 to 6 months before it released, was War of Imperium.
Yes, that was another thing that I was gonna bring up, is because on NA, War of Imperium came out before the GH update, but there were longer gaps in updates. So, Global having faster updates is kind of like nice player retention as well, because a lot of people quit NA because they were waiting for War of Imperium, but it never came until 6 months later or so.
That wait,
but yeah.
Yeah, that wait was also very long, wasn't it? In between, even small updates in between, and we kept getting the really crappy events that everybody hated. So
I'm curious of I know they're reworking War of Imperium for Global, so I'm curious when they're planning to release it.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy that the cross server is being planned before WoW is even out.
Yeah. It's especially crazy, especially if you played RO before too, like we both have, that War of Imperium is Ragnarok Online's most iconic game, PvP mode.
Yes.
Hands down. Anytime I go into any type of MMORPG after RO, I always look at their their sieges, their castle sieges and stuff, and I always compare it to RO. And I feel RO, War of Imperium, has always been just that standard, where if other games don't meet that, then I'm automatically just disappointed.
I mean, yeah, War of Imperium was pretty iconic.
Yeah. And I mean, owning a castle, just defending it off, going offensive. not only that, but like I mean the War of Imperium NPC and chess here have such like good good items in it that help, especially like free to play players. Like when you check like the War of Imperium NPCs right now in NA, for example, it gives you such like much easier access to to feathers, like times threes feathers, day feathers as well, like all the other yellows beside yellow feathers or orange feathers, however you want to call it, besides like the light and dark feathers. So I feel like the sooner that comes out, the more player retention that we have, because when I was reading the patch notes, I was very visibly like disappointed at like how some and I've said it before, how like kind of saturated all the stat sticks that we're getting here with the new updates. Sigils, in a way, if it's balanced correctly, I feel like it's a good addition to the game, because it would, to some degree, like enable certain builds to be more viable. But if mishandled, it creates enormous like imbalance in the game. And,
for sure.
It like champs already feel bad with HP and PvP being higher, but now that they can one-shot people, it's like yeah, okay, it's whatever. But now you have like all these crazy shields and like damage mitigations on like first hits, like like initial damage, and it's like, okay, so like what initial damage am I actually like worried about? It's like, okay, maybe like a soul breaker Synex hitting me for like 100% of my HP. Now he can't one-shot me. Okay, but it has immediate activation after. Okay, but like now camps the Asura, and it's all cooldown for like 10 seconds. So if I survive that, what if I survive that and I kill him? Now it's an 0 for 1 exchange in his end, and it just feels bad. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember on NA too, like champs definitely fell off.
Yeah, because of the indirect update. I've heard of like just champs straight up quitting the game when that
or like
came
swapping classes.
Yeah, or swapping classes. I know like they've Raf actually changed from like champ to Synex, I believe, because of that.
Yeah, I noticed a bunch of the champs swapped to Synex on NA.
The really geared ones, at least, like the whale ones. Yeah. Otherwise, they were in for a worse time as Synex than they did as champ.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's just like things like that that's very hard to balance. But for the most part, this update also, like I said, has a silver lining with like Zenny accessibility, and then we have like Blast Time coming out soon, and just more grind spots. Arc Cloud is really good. Like I said, Dark Frame's really good too. Really good cards for FSs. I think Sage Worm is really good for more heals, right? As FS, it's like more affordable as well, easier to get than like say Greatest General.
Yeah.
I'm not too well versed in like FS.
Monster drop, yeah.
Yeah.
Versus a mini.
More costumes too. For
yeah, more costumes.
Yeah. That's one thing that like I'm actually looking forward to with like last time. One of the reasons why I haven't spent a lot of my specimen that you get from like killing mobs is because of the Glass Time update. I want to have enough specimens for certain ones so that I only have to worry about the dolls. Glass Time update, man, the headgear. The headgears are pretty good, I gotta say. Like the actual like the little iron cane that you get from like the zombie prisoner. The clown mask from the clown like costume from Carrot. What else is there? I know Sage Worm has one.
I think there's the Rideward hat or something.
Yeah. Rideward hat. What else is there? But I don't know, those are like two iconic ones that people wanted.
There's that like smile grimace face and
yeah.
From I forgot the name of the monster.
Nightmare Fuel headgear coming in from Glass Time, which is on brand with like how Glass Time is. That's how it should be. But besides that, So Artlaus, Dark Frame, Sage Worm, really good spots. And did you remember the you remember the Raidrick Stadium spot?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. Like we had to 5-man that just to try to get like Raider cards.
Yeah.
And I think you're
It's
the only
like
one who
kind of
got
the
it.
only way. Yeah, it's kind of like the only way to get it because they hit really hard.
Yeah. Um, maybe. Well, actually, no. The mobs here got buffed too, but I don't know about their damage, but definitely their mitigation and their HP, and we'll talk about that too. But I remember like playing a sniper. Playing a sniper, and then it felt good that you were able to kill like um you were able to kill Raedrix before they got to you, but they have this skill that is ranged. It deals a ton of damage and one shot me every single time. And that was like with like, you know, with my armor being like above +10. So I was like, oh, like how do I like what am I supposed to do here? Like how can I tank this? Granted, like snipers are the squishiest class, but you know, it feels bad. It's like you're one advantage as like a ranged class when fighting a melee like mob or something is that you can try to kill them before they get to you, and then this guy just like gets a good 10 kills like my, you know, from the ground. Like that's actually what it looks like. It's just like
Yeah.
and then you just get one shot. I was like, okay, what's the point of me being
Yeah,
a
really painful.
oh man. And leading into glass time, the class that comes out with glass time is Paladin.
Yes, Paladin.
Paladin.
And then we're gonna see meta change it a bit again.
The meta is 100% gonna change. Rosters are 100% gonna change. The guilds that have like good Devo type like paladins are 100% going to be have the edge over people that don't, because like if you push forward without Devo, there's a huge chance that you're just gonna die, right? You're gonna get CC'd. You know, if you're not Devo, if you have a Devo, you have like more staying power. You can actually push forward and be safe still, and drop an AOE on like, you know, the enemy stack and back out and reposition and still survive. So having that on your like hardest hitting AOEs is definitely game winning. I wonder how many guilds will adapt well to that into what I would assume is right around the time that cross server starts, because they announced it previously already, and
yeah,
they announced it previously already, and then they did say that like this middle of the month, like towards like the 20th, 22nd, something like that.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, they're gonna have a big update, and I would assume if they tease that and they put big update on that date, I would assume that like that's when it starts to happen. So
that is our speculation.
So I mean, what else is there to look forward to glass time besides like the fact that MVPs are gonna be? Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think this is something to look forward to, but have you seen the amount of HP and like defense and magic defense that mobs have in like this one and global and Taiwan compared to like NA or KR? It's crazy.
Yeah.
What was it? Like Carrot, for example. Carrot was like pretty popular as a free-to-play friendly spot, right? Like you even saw Spiral Pierce LK's grinding there and being able to kill them in like one shot or something like that, right? But like the HP that they had compared to like what I saw in Taiwan, what is that? Like Carrots had like what 1.2 million HP?
Yeah, something like that.
It's like I was struggling to do 115k on my Stonehenge on a wind mob. They're trying to one shot it, like 1 million. It's like, did they at least adjust the XP that these mobs like give to make it worth it? Because like, if I'm stuck grinding, dark frames, right? If I'm stuck grinding dark frames, those mobs have a lot of HP because they give like better XP in return, right?
Yeah.
But they're shadow, and let's say like I can't use grab field because it deals like too little damage. Then I would have to use something like meteor storm. But because of how high magic defense is, like on the mobs, like meteor storm might actually end up dealing less damage unless you have enough magic defense ignore to just ignore to be able to like kind of pierce that magic defense a little, because the way that like magic defense pierce works is some people think that it's like 1-to-1. It's like, oh yeah, it's like you just need to have this amount. But the thing is, like, when you reach like certain thresholds of like magic defense or physical defense pierce versus their magic defense and physical defense, the difference is actually a percent difference. And like when I was doing Sky Petites, I was barely two ticking them. Like they would, like my first tick would bring the Sky Petites down to like 20% HP, maybe 15%, something like that. And then when I boosted up my magic defense pierce, the difference in damage was so huge that I went from like barely two ticking them to overkilling them. Like I needed to do like 115k or something like that, like something close to be able to like one shot them. And I went from that to like 150 something k. I mean, like a single tick, which is insane. So, like, it was like inversely. Like, if you think about it, that's what it does for you. But what happens when you don't have enough?
Right.
The reverse happens, and then your damage is just non-existent.
Yeah.
So
curious how that's gonna go.
My question is, how are free-to-play players going to survive in Glass Time if we get that same update to mobs like magic defense, physical defense, and like HP?
I think it will be doable, but for sure it will take way longer.
Way longer, greatly diminished XP.
Yeah.
Because like even the difference in XP between like two tapping and one tapping something is already huge, right? So let's say like my grab field does like good, like decent damage, and it takes me like 4 ticks, like 4 or 5 ticks to kill Arklaus, right?
Yeah.
How am I like? What is my HP gonna look like? Because like, what usually is a really good spot in Arklaus, like the triple spot, especially. All of a sudden, it's like you're considering like, should I actually go to Arklaus or do I just go back to Marionette? Like, what's going on here? So we'll have to see what we get, and once we get there, we have to like figure out how we're gonna handle that, because like there's no. The other thing too is like there's nothing that damages. There's no small monster damage card, right? There's no direct earth damage like card element. The only way that you get earth damage is by buying Orc Lady card, and then 3-starring it, and even then you only get like 15% damage to earth monsters, right?
Yeah.
So it's not even as strong as like a base element card, which is at 20% usually. So I don't think that would help you too much against Arklaus. So when you think about it that way, it's like, okay, what do I do now? It's like, especially like, let's say like I'm a wizard, like what do I rely on now? I have to rely on like elemental damage, right? I know that like with elemental awareness, I gain 25% more element damage. So if I hit them with Meteor Storm instead of 75, I'll do 100%. But what happens when my magic defense is not enough?
Right.
Like what then? I cry and go back to Marionette? Like, oh my god. So what? In a way, I guess that's one of the reasons why they probably released sigils early, so we can try to build up our sigils, especially our damage sigils, to kind of help us along in Glass Time. But I'm even with that, I'm not sure if it's enough.
I guess we will see soon.
Yeah. How many days? Like 10 days? 10 days more to go, right? We can check the
Yeah, it's
calendar.
like next week, right?
Next week. Is it next week? Yeah, it is next week. Um, event calendar here. Oh yeah, no, it's not the 20th. It's the 21st. Rue Academy, new patch, new job. So like we know for a fact that like last time it was actually like coming out there because like in order for Crusader to be out, we need the NPC and the storyline that's in
Mm-hmm.
last time.
Yeah.
Um. Oh man, this is wait. This is gonna be a interesting stream once that appears because I'm either gonna be like surprised, like surprisingly happy, or like as disappointed as I expected it to be. Oh my god, man.
Like, let's look positively.
Yeah, like, uh, man, I don't even know at this point. So, what other things in Glass Time are we looking forward to or not looking forward to, or hopeful about?
I'm looking forward to the new minis too.
Hmm. Abyssal Knight and
Oh
Dark.
yes, that would be good for that Abyss card.
Yeah, and Dark
There's a
Illusion.
Zelotus.
Zelotus. That's the one that you're like kept hunting because you wanted the headgear.
Yep,
Yep,
I wanted the headgear.
that's the one I
Well,
remember.
I also hunted it with one of my like in Dynasty I had like a set partner for like PvP and stuff, and he was farming Zelotus for our
Mm.
card, so it worked out.
It worked out. It's a good placeholder card. I think with the amount of like Bloody Branch parties that like every server is having, I think I mean, we've noticed that like cards just have been like a lot more accessible. Number one,
Yeah.
they're easier to start off finally because some of these cards they're like decent, right? But like but they become really good once you 3-star them. In NA that was impossible. We didn't have the volume of like people doing that, and a lot of people that
Mhm.
like that would have done that didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Um, so man, that oh man, I hope. I mean, on the bright side, um, if it drops for somebody, chances are they're probably gonna put it up on the market.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be an auction one. It's actually something that you have to like pull for. So you have a pretty good chance of getting it at a reasonable price. It's just going to be up to like if your click is a magic click that gets that in
Mhm.
in the actual shop, in the
It's
trade
really
shop.
hard though.
Yeah. Um. I mean, there's other ways that you can do actually. Other ways that you can click faster if you think outside the box under the legal. But no, I'm just kidding. Uh. But yeah. That's good. That's a very you know it's a very actual viable way of you getting it versus like struggling to get it in NA where like
Mhm.
you have to wait until a certain point before much longer point before that actually appears in like bloody branches, for example, right?
Yeah.
But here at least because of how these updates are coming out, then you will more than likely get that a lot sooner than way sooner than you would have waited to get it in NA.
Mhm. Also the fact that there's just way more players here too.
Mm-hmm.
So it like helps the market.
Yeah, like in in NA, like just to put into perspective, right? Like in NA, like Arklaus map was like the most popular map for grinding at the time.
Mhm.
We couldn't even get 2 channels.
Yeah.
We had to call the server to open a new channel.
Yeah. Same thing
And
when Geos came out too.
mm-hmm,
Had to
like
call the whole server.
hella popular channel, like or like mob, best XP, like in that update, 1 channel. in Now in global, it's like popular channels have like double-digit channels sometimes.
Mhm.
um in like the later channels like later mobs, obviously like not everybody can do it, so like Marionette, there's not a lot of channels right now. The only But like the fact that we can actually open multiple channels, like up to three channels, just from our guilds alone, is pretty crazy. Like,
it is.
300% more channels than the whole server in NA. That's nuts. So that's really good. And you know, like the general population, which usually they can't grind in the spots that we're grinding at the moment, like general population can, like, you know, like right now, like, what is it, like the most popular spot for like general population? It's like nightmares, right? Nightmares.
Yes.
Nightmares.
Nightmares and
wraiths. Yeah. When I'm like hunting minis, it's so good because if I want to go hunt like Dark Priest or like, you know, the Infernal Nightmare, I get it done in like 10 minutes or less.
It's so nice having the multiple channels.
Yeah, switch
that.
channels and just like they're always up too. It's crazy because like a lot of people just do bloody branches. I like to hunt mine manually just because of the statue parts. You know, the dual ones. It definitely saves a lot of money. Like you do it 5 every day. Let's say they get like maybe 2 or 3 a day, or, you know, 1, 2 or 3 a day. It adds up, right? Like in the span of like a week. That's the reason why like right now my statue is like maxed out on these now. So like once the statue is like maxed out, like what do I do next, right? I dismantle all the ones that I get, and then I can use that in the point shop, and then go to like the statue shop, and then actually get the, you know, the yellow ones, like the that is very rare for for non-whales like ourselves, right? So that's something to look forward to. I know for a fact that people are gonna be buying for that Dark Illusion card for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was that and AK were like the 2 popular
notorious
cards that came out.
Yeah, like everybody wanted that card.
Yeah, everyone was farming them constantly.
Yeah, people were overbidding it. People were constantly just farming it. But I think it's going to be like a bit easier here. Only thing is like Dark Illusion card, snipers especially wanted that card. Sharpshoot snipers in particular, like whaled out sharpshoot snipers, just because like if you can one shot somebody already, it's like what's the point in getting more damage, right? Like you might as well get that, you know, that like cast time all the way down to like it's the cast, and that's like one of the ways that like they can actually achieve that. So that is going to be very hotly contested. I don't think there are a lot of. There might be maybe 2, like kind of whale-ish like snipers, in our server right now. So they're gonna be vying for that and trying to get it to like 3-star. But you know, I mean, some wizards might actually go for that as well. Like whale wizards will probably want to go for that as well, just to get like gravity filled all the way down. But yeah, a lot of good content coming from Glass Time for sure. Grind spots,
definitely.
Cards.
I think GH definitely is like one of the better updates.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's also one of the most iconic too, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the most iconic spots in the game. It's like I'm pretty sure like everybody who's played like RO1 before remember the times when, you know, mages and acolytes and like archers would head over to Glass Time and, you know, kill steal each other to level faster. You know, it brings a lot of like good memories, a lot of like nostalgia with when it comes to content too. So that's really great. What else is there for Glass Time? There's so many things, man. I'm pretty sure like we're forgetting some of the stuff that come out with it too. Like there's a lot of things. Was it Glass Time? Oh no, it wasn't Glass Time. I think it was around the time that Biochemist came out, that DSP came out. Dimensional Battles, which was the first cross-server PvP mode.
I'm trying to think. Maybe, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because
I don't remember a lot of Biochemists though.
I heard.
I can't remember.
I heard they got nerfed in Taiwan, but I saw recent patches that like Acid Demonstration got buffed again, and I know for a fact that the the sigil for the class sigil, the first class sigil um for biochemist actually buffs acid demonstration. So you know,
Mm,
maybe they're actually, cause I feel like biochemists have always been that like good. It's a good class for free to play, right?
it is.
The downside of it towards like people who want to whale out on it is that the global cooldown on acid demo is pretty long, but it does good damage, so it holds a lot more value for free to play players for sure. Um, you know, like a lot of I think a lot of players expected the same way in R1 where you just spammed acid demonstration and you just kept spamming it. Not so much in in um in Rue. It's not as
Yeah.
spammable, but it's still pretty potent. You know, breaks armor, does like really good damage. So hopefully once we get it, we can see some variety in there. And one thing too, I think you probably agree with me on this one is that I hope that the homunculus build actually gets buffed.
Oh yeah.
That's a very like I feel like that's gonna be like a very interesting build, having homunculus and you know, kind of like, but I feel like they're in the same category as like Mastersmith turrets at this
Mhm.
point, where like they're there, they offer something. Like it's not probably something that you like want, although it got a little bit of help with the sigils currently, but
Mhm.
you know, but hopefully we get some good updates on that. And speaking of biochemists too, speaking of like
Mhm.
biochemists, um, biochemists, one of the classes that we're gonna get first
Yeah,
after
probably after.
Paladin,
Yeah,
yeah, right? Because like
because they'll come out with like Aldebaran and
yeah,
Clock Tower, because that's
yeah,
where they're from.
in the geographer spots, the infamous or
Oh
famous
yes, yes.
geographer spots as well. Um,
Mhm.
so I think we're of the same mind with like our prediction. So a lot of people probably like were wondering like, oh, like what class, when is so and so class gonna come out? I know that they made a poll before the game started of like what classes are in demand, but um, I think that it's not easy. It's not that easy to get like other classes to come out first because you know. But before we explain why don't we put out our predictions first for like what classes are coming out next? So it's Paladin, and then next one
Paladin,
is
Bio.
Biochemist. Next one is Bardin Dancer,
Yes,
right? And then after Bardin
and
Dancer
then
is Sage,
Sage
and then after
and
Sage
Rogue
is
is last.
Rogue is last, right? Um, so the reason why we predicted the class order release to be that is there's a reasoning for that too. The reason why we predict those classes to come out first is because of the fact that like um, a lot of these classes are tied to certain maps and updates,
Certain
or
content.
yeah, or like as RO likes to call it, episodes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're tied to like certain episodes, and um, the only way for them to release a class sooner is if they completely change the storyline and they completely transfer over the NPCs for those classes to an earlier update, which takes
hmm
quite a bit of work and resources. Um, so I'm not sure if Gravity wants to do that, right?
Yeah. I'm surprised that there was a poll of like classes in demand because I assumed they would just go in order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
'Cause,
So
yeah.
um, the only other way that they would do it maybe is, do you think, I'm not sure if, like you tell me if you think this is like a possible thing that they're gonna do. Um, uh, will they release multiple episodes in one big release? Like
I
it
I feel I In my opinion, I feel like they wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I think it would be overload.
because the only way, let's say for example, right, like, if they want to release Biochemist and Bar Dancer all in one update, because they said that they were gonna release all the classes in one within this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if the rumors are true, but they're planning on not releasing anything for quarter 3 of this year. So they're saying that they're only releasing classes in quarter 2 and quarter 4.
Interesting.
So now it's like, what are we now? Like June?
Yeah.
We're halfway done with the year, a little bit more than halfway done with the year. And we only have Champion out right now, and then this month we'll get Paladin. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 more classes. So within those, so what is it, like we're at quarter 2 and then quarter 3, which is a month after, and then 3 months after that. If they're not planning on releasing the other classes at that time, then which is July, August, like September.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to wait till like October to see Biochemist. So I'm not sure if that plan is gonna work. I think they're gonna have to release classes in like quarter 3.
Yeah. That's interesting that I thought they weren't planning to release any in quarter 3.
Yeah. So I don't think the quarter 3 rumor is actually like true, because that's a huge gap
Yeah, that's a huge gap.
in content.
Yeah, compared to like how they're doing it now, we're only 2 months in and we're already gonna get Paladin. So
Yeah.
like by how fast they're going, if they just stopped it, they kind of lose momentum for the game, I think.
Yeah, and as I said, aren't classes gay with new maps? That's what we're saying. Like, yeah, that's what we said earlier. That the classes, the reason why like we have our prediction of classes, which is like Champ, and then Paladin, and then Biochemist, and then Bard and Dancer, and then Sage, and then after that is like Rogue, is because like we're confident in that prediction because like the fact that like these classes, their job change quests and their stories are tied to certain episodes, right? Like class release is episodic in Rue. They're tied to that, and the only way that they can bring it out earlier, like I said earlier, is like either release multiple maps or bring those job change NPCs over to an earlier map and make them accessible. But then again, that requires like resources. That requires like a lot of work, and like me and Thai said, like I don't think Gravity's willing to do that. So we're like thinking of ways that they can do it, and I don't think that the current like rumors of like the timeline is like viable, because I would expect like Sage to be out by maybe, if they're trying to get it out by this year, maybe Sage will be out by like, do you think like November, end of October?
Yeah.
And then Rogue finally in December.
There.
Yeah.
Rogue would be last then.
Yeah. And hi to everybody in the chat, by the way. If you are just joining us, we're currently holding a live podcast with myself and Thai over here, my co-host, lovely co-host, and we're gonna do this every Sunday or Monday for some people around this time. And right now we're discussing our predictions for the classes that are come out. And if you're new to, if you just got here. Our predictions are, so far we've been right, which is Champion, and then Paladin, and then after that is going to be Biochemist, and after that is going to be Bard and Dancer, and then Sage, and then Rogue at the end. Somebody asked, who is this goddess? That is Thai. If you guys don't know, well, you're about to know, because I am going to link her Twitch in the chat. So make sure that you guys do check her out. She's amazing. She's an amazing artist. She's an amazing,
Thank
amazing
you.
content creator. Way more consistent than I am. I'll tell you that. So
You're pretty consistent.
consistently late. Oh my god.
Oh, you're still consistent.
Yeah, you know, I'm consistent about something.
Yeah.
So let me link you guys, and this is like linked to all her socials here. So let me go ahead and post that here, and we'll also um link it in the description as well when we upload the podcast to my YouTube channel. Doesn't she have any YouTube channel? She does, and I just linked you. She has YouTube, Instagram. She has a lot of links actually. Like I'm looking at it right now. It's like, you know, yeah. She has her own website. She has Patreon. I do recommend her Patreon. She does like give exclusive like art to, you know, to their Patreon.
Yes, I do a
right?
sticker and postcard club.
Exactly, sticker postcard club. Like, and it's all like I have yet to see art that she did that I didn't like yet. By the way, so if that's, you know, and you guys know how I am. If it's bad, you know, I'm shit talking that right away, right? But like I have
Wow.
it, so that means it's good. Like if I did anything bad, man, I would be like, fine, this is garbage. What are you doing?
Wow.
Hey Timo, thank you for the super chat, man. But yeah, like you guys know how I am. I'm very critical. You know, if I think that something is bad, I generally think something is bad. Like I have no filter, bro. Like I will describe it in the worst possible way with as many words that I can come up with in my vocabulary. So the fact that I haven't yet means that everything she does is pretty damn good. You know, so again,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So again, that's carrd.co, and you know, if you have links to her Twitter, Instagram, for her art and stream Instagram, her personal Instagram as well, with all the food stuff that I always like, and then, you know, YouTube, you know, with the vlogs,
I
YouTube gaming.
that more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's she does everything. I don't know how she does it and how she does it like consistently. Well, I do know, like your sleep schedule is like
Garbage. Non-existent.
non-existent. Well, yeah, I mean, you have a schedule. You know, it just goes very deep into the morning to the afternoon, and then you sleep. So,
yeah. Usually, if I have IRL obligations, I will do them in the morning, and then I'll sleep.
yeah. So, you know, it's it's crazy. It's crazy good. You know, that you somehow make it work, but you know, somebody like as hardworking as like, you know, like a lot of people don't understand like how hard it is to be a content creator. Like a lot of the stuff that you see on videos, a lot of the stuff that you see on live on stream, there's a lot of prep for that. And as somebody who, like, you guys don't know, like, you guys may or may not know, I used to be like, I basically work in the medical field, and I decided to take a risk, right? Because I was tired of like the whole rat race. I was tired of the whole, like, you know, long story short, I got backstabbed by a friend that I built up a company with, like a long-term care pharmacy with, and you know, I decided to make something that's mine, my own brand, and everything. And then as I got into it, I had some idea before, but now, like, that I'm doing it at this like level, the amount of preparation needed to actually make it happen is insane. And I'm just looking at Thaya, like, Thaya, bro, I can't even like post. I can't even log in on my Twitter. Like, how are you? Like, you have like double-digit links in your. I'm like, how do you do it? And you know, if I am.
Hey, you do really good though. Like your YouTube has been growing a lot, so you know, for like jumping head first, good work.
Yeah, thank you. You know, but I'm trying to kind of like. But when I say that, like, I'm looking at like a fellow like content creator, and like I see what you do like live like every day, right? It's like I see like what you have to go through to like get the content out that you get out, and even then, like, I can still hear you say sometimes like, oh, it's not enough. I feel like I should like update my YouTube more, all that. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, what do you mean?
I just feel like I never do enough.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and I'm always like I'm also getting like trudging along. I'm like, oh my god, like Thai's doing all this, like what am I doing? And it's like people are like, bro, like you're doing a lot. It's like, no, you don't
You
understand,
are
man.
doing a lot though. You're running a guild. You're pretty consistent with your YouTube updates and then Twitch and then all your sponsorships. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, thank you, but like a lot of that is like before I started, it's like I have friends that do content creation. One of you being them, and then like Fear as well. And then,
Yeah.
but yours is probably
Yeah.
like one of the things that like I like just like looked at. And I'm like, I'm seeing this stuff that you put out, the high quality stuff that you put out, and like the amount that you're putting out at the same time. I'm like, oh my god, it's like if I want this to work, I have to at least be doing that, right? That's like a standard that I've set for myself almost, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a lot of work. Uh, but yeah, but yeah. Again, guys, if you want to follow, I'll post it here again. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Back at you. Back at you too, though. Doing good, Daddy. You're doing good.
Thank you. But like back to the topic. That's our predictions, right? And that's the reason why like we predicted what we predicted because of like how class releases, like I said, like are very episodic, and
So it would be strange if they changed it, the order.
yeah, that's like an unnecessary expense.
Yeah, it would be a lot of work.
Yeah, although if you were to change, hypothetical, if you were to change the order, and let's say, what would you like to come after Paladin?
Me personally, I would want Dancer.
Dancer. Why? Why Dancer? Well, Dancer power.
So that was like my alt on NA, but that class is actually pretty good. So, my friend Alfie, me and him would just duo, but like we had alt, so I had my alt, and then he had his Evid's alt that used to be on Dynasty, but he quit, but he gave it to Alfie. So, because Alfie used to be a Synex. So then Evid was a blacksmith, so he needed him for the buffs. So it'd just be us four and our friend Mello. But sometimes it'd just be us, us two and then our ults. And then we could just duo MVPs fine because Dancer and Bard, they for some reason so they can heal, but then also they take aggro pretty easily for MVPs. So they're always they were constantly the ones that grab the aggro. So it was really easy to have the excessive healing and then the tanking from the Dancer or the Bard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Incredible synergy. Oh, Mike actually stopped by. Thank you for the super chat, Mike. But the recommendation for GC Paladin PvP, don't do it is my recommendation. But yeah, that's a really good insight actually, because I know Dancer also has. I'm pretty sure at this point Alfie probably had enough crit, but Dancer also has the crit buff, doesn't it?
Which buff?
The crit buff.
Oh yeah, the kiss.
Yeah. For me, which class would I want out first? I would say, I'd say Stalker. I'd probably say Stalker because witnessing how Stalker works, right? Stalker is just has a lot of versatility. First of all, Stalker is kind of good for free to play because Stalker is the only class where you see this buff bar, right? Right under your character's portrait, right? Stalker is the only class that can fill this bar with debuffs and have it overflow. So essentially, you could shut down somebody who's way more invested than you are. And then there's also this other thing that that stalkers do. It's I'm not sure what they're gonna call it here, but it's called coerce. Basically, it's a charm skill. So let's say their biggest carry, right? Let's say they have a high wizard or a ME priest carry, hyper carry, and he steps forward. You coerce him and then he follows you, and you bring him into the middle of your stack, kill him, and then he has no choice but to respawn. It's a work of art. A skilled stalker, a stalker that knows how to target well, really shows with how hard they can carry you just by doing stuff like that. The only downside, though, I'm not sure if it's going to be the same in global, but this is what happened in NA, is that if that hyper carry is not overextended, and by that I mean like they haven't severed their devotion, I think coerce actually charms the paladin instead, which is also good, because if you coerce the paladin close enough to where the carry is, chances are they're both going to be stepping on like AoEs, so that means the paladin is actually going to take double damage, and he's going to die sooner, and then you could do the same thing on the carry and actually still be able to drag him back if he didn't reposition right away, or you could just kill him off. You just could kill him right on the spot because he's probably too overextended for somebody who doesn't have a paladin anymore. Kill him, and then you just push forward and cut him off from support. That way he doesn't get resurrected anymore, and then he has no choice but to respawn, and then his guild has no choice but to fight this clash, this guild GVG fight without him. So it's skilled soccer, man. Soccer is such a game changer. I know people say that like Sage is a game changer with protected area or with land protector.
I will say, Sage is one of the classes I'm not excited for.
yeah. It's gonna be a lot of LPs
because they're like long range monks basically with their one shot bolt.
It's like they have really high damage. There's gonna be a lot of LPs and counter LPs for sure. It's good and bad. It's bad because it negates too many things at once for a utility skill. It's good because it makes like offense and defense become very dynamic versus like before they would be very static. But the thing about like the thing that kind of like baits people into Sage, though, I gotta say, is a lot of like free to play players, mid spenders, and like even like some high spenders get baited into Sage, thinking that like they're going to dominate with damage in PvP. That isn't really the case. Like, don't misunderstand anybody in the chat. Sages are a whale class. In order for you to achieve that huge damage, you need a lot of magic defense spears, right? More so here than in NA, I would say, because like we get access to a lot of things that would mitigate damage here compared to like NA. Like in NA, like when it came out, what was it, like when Rue 1.5, like bootleg 2.0 came out, and we get all those resources and like forms of like stats, right? Stat sticks, basically. It takes a while for it to ramp up, doesn't it? Even for especially for free to play players. But because we've had it since the beginning here and earlier than most, even free to play players have a chance to stack, have had a chance to stack those resources, and that means that like the overall mitigation of everybody in the server in global is much higher than it was in NA when like Sages first came out.
Yeah.
So I think even people who played Sage in KR and NA would get baited into that. Like because it's like when somebody who was like medium spender in NA was like, what do you mean? Like my Sage did like pretty good damage in NA, right? It's like it did fine. It's like, okay, but you realize everybody had access to titles here in the beginning. Statues, feathers, like we've had all this time to build all that up, and it adds a lot of mitigation, and like titles too. It's like if you're a mid spender, you would easily gap a free to play player because you would just buy all the the title like materials and stuff, and you would gap them and you would do like extra 20% damage to them for no reason before they even build up mitigation. This is not the case in global. So I think Sage is 100% like a new bait class.
I will say though, they are pretty annoying in PvP because just like how snipers are right now, like they can do a lot of statuses to you. That's like the main thing that dislike about them.
Yeah. Linky asked, do you also need a lot of ignore defense for Dancer Clown class if you go in DPS? DPS Dancer Clown. I've never seen or heard of an effective DPS Dancer Clown.
Yeah, if you're like PvPing, usually you will be like
utilities,
like tanky and stuff. Yeah, utility. Yeah. Like you can do a damage for your leveling, but if you're in a PvP guild, then you're doing utility.
Arrow Vulcan burst doesn't work. He asks. Arrow Vulcan's actually pretty garbage in a room.
Yeah, like you want to do the skill. I forgot the name of it, but
Ugly Dance?
The ones that do AOE. Yeah, Ugly Dance.
Ugly Dance, yeah. It's Arrow Vulcan. You remember RO1 is like this really great like burst skill, like you burst people down with it. In Ru,
everyone like farming Thors with it too.
not anymore. It's a decent build for 360 build for PvP with like the Ugly Dance, but our Vulcan is not the play here.
Someone asked if when Dancer is out, is Priest still useful? Yes, because Dancers don't have safety wall and stuff that other things that Priests have.
Yeah. Like the power of a Priest who is like skilled, who knows how to use like Lex Divina on people and just shut them. Because like for example, right? Like if you're a Mastersmith, and let's say like you're really well out Mastersmith, like you're like 1-2 tapping people and you're killing them like really fast, right? If you don't have Marduk card because you're stacking damage, if a Priest Lex Divinas you get silenced, you use Panacea, your Panacea is on like a 10-second cooldown, he Lex Divinas you again and you get silenced again, you can't use your high-speed cart ram, you don't do damage, like you're not gonna auto-attack somebody to death as a cart like type Mastersmith, you know? So what then, right? And the same thing with like, let's say like Acid Demonstration, you know, like any caster class. So you can't really discount Priests because like Priests do certain things that only Priests can do that are very crucial and can easily change the tune of the fight, right? Like the fact that they can shut down like Giga Whales is pretty crazy. So yeah, no, Dancers and Bards will not be replacing Priests for sure. It's also hard to target res on Dancer Bard if they're not in your party, as opposed to Priests. So
yeah, Priests you'll see the blue gem icon, but Dancer Bard you're out of luck.
Exactly. Kenneth is asking, why is Mastersmith and LK like shit in Guild League? LK for obvious reasons. Mastersmith, okay, here's the thing. If you are geared enough as a Mastersmith and an LK to be included in Guild League, you have to understand your role. A lot of the times Mastersmiths and LKs thinks like, oh, I'm gonna dive into that whole stack. Like that's not your job as a Mastersmith and LK. Your job as a Mastersmith and an LK is to protect your flanks. Like let's say like a random like ME Priest or Wizard tries to flank your group, and you don't want him to drop a grab field on your stack, right? So it's your job as like a champion, as a Mastersmith, as an LK to prevent that from happening, because that's your job. Your job is not to jump into that AoE and like stack of people and then die, and have to your priests have to risk themselves to res you. That's not how it should be. That's not how it should work.
You should be protecting.
Yeah, exactly what I said. Yeah, you should be protecting your stack. So it's not like they're if you're looking to be a playmaker and get like lots of kills, you should be playing ME Priest or you should be playing like Gryfield Wizard, like if that's what you want, right? But for Mastersmith and LK, the only time that you feel shitty is because you're not doing your job, so you don't feel effective, right? And I usually hate on LKs, but like if an LK that does their job is better than a Mastersmith that's like diving into the enemy stack and just dying. Is Alchemist magic damage or physical damage? Planning to change to Alchemist. I'm currently Wiz now. Is Alchemist magic damage or physical damage? Do you remember?
I don't, because I didn't play it very long.
I think it's a mix of both. No.
I think so.
Yeah, or mostly dictated by like physical damage. I could log into NA and check it, but I think they're doing. Oh, they should be done with WoW by now. I could probably check. I don't know if I have I don't have a biochemist account though. So I can check that for you later on, but I would have to log into NA. But yeah, and then I asked, I'm at level 23 enchant, still no sharp 3 for oh god. Is it worth to buy Mora with Nyans at this point? No. I don't think it's worth buying Mora at all. It's like I've never bought Mora. I just I just get whatever Mora I can get, and then I use them all at once. And if I get something good, I get something good. If I don't, well, time to stack them again. What is it? Kenneth said that in our guild they genocide LKs and master smiths right now. What do you mean by genocide LKs? Do they just like keep dying? LK is in P attack just like in R1. Yeah. And yo, wait, yeah, because what was it? Remember Curator in NA? He went from wizard to biochemist. Yeah. So that's why like I was thinking that it's like magic damage. Ken says no, they kicked them in our guild. Oh god. I mean, I don't know if you should kick LKs if they're future paladins, but if they're being stubborn about being LKs, then yeah. We have this guy called Tank Ew in our guild, and I told him like if you stick to LK. No, I was kidding. He already said that he's
gonna kick you.
He already said that he's not gonna stay. Because in his own words, this is what he told me, Thai. I told him like because he requested for like Goblin Leader cards, right? I just told him lol, and he's like, bro, I'm not gonna stick to LK, okay? I'm not gonna spend like $5,000 on this game just so I can get shit on. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, what are you gonna change to? So I don't know if he decides to stay in X's party, he's gonna have to go Paladin, yeah, because there's no way that X is not gonna want a Paladin. But yeah, that's pretty much our predictions, and those are the classes that we want. Thai said that she would like to have Dancer come out first if she had the choice. Mine is a bit of a little bit more of a stretch by saying that I want like Stalkers come out first. It's not gonna happen. But a man can dream. I feel like Stalkers definitely add a level of skill to the game where people are just forced to rethink their positioning. Like Stalkers will just make you think. That's the best thing about them. Because nothing's more embarrassing than being out of position and then getting coerced into like the enemy stack. And then Kenneth also asked, Paladin's role in Guild League is just Devo, right? Sacripelled in Guild League is shit. Well, is Devo their main role in Guild League? Yes. You really need Devos on your hyper carries. Is Sacri build like garbage? No, it's actually the best build for Paladins. Is it good for free to play, low spender, mid spender, high spender? It's not good. Is it good for like Giga Whales? Absolutely. Like a sacrifice paladin that's like decked out will demolish you, and there's very little you can do against them because like what are you gonna do? Like if your hyper carries are probably gonna be like what, red cores come out like GT.
Yeah, right? GT for sure.
GT gets reflected. DD crit gets reflected. SBK deals less damage, right? Because of defender. A lot of things like just deal less damage. Like if you can attack, like especially like if you're Sacred Paladin, you have a lot of HP. Chances are you can probably tank Asura. So if you have Reflect, you can Reflect and kill somebody with it. And then if you decide to engage, you have a lot of like tank stats that will make you just like more, like you can basically do what LKs want to do. Like LKs want to dive in and they want to like wreck the enemy, but they die easily. If you're like a whale, the Giga Whale like Paladin, you have all those like defensive measures. It's it's an LK's wet dream pretty much. So like what options do you have as like, as in order to fight that Paladin? It's like stages, right? Like Wizard's Grabfield. But what do you do when like that Paladin also has like a Maya card? Oh my god. Like what do you do? Like cry? I don't know, man. Cry and die? Like what? It's crazy, man. Like take a look, right? Take a look at let's look at Mount Maya card right now. So let's go to MVPs, right? Just in case you guys don't remember what exactly, like, yeah, we guys have an idea of what it does, but what does it actually really do, right? When you take magic damage, there's a 20% chance to deflect the damage back to your enemy. When you unseal it, it becomes for every 1 bit you have, which if you're a sacrifice paladin, the deflected damage is increased by 0.2 up to 40%. So that is 60%. Like, oh man, 60% deflected damage? How do you stop it? Like how do you stop it? But that's why, like, usually I don't recommend like paladin, but like if you're a Giga Whale like sacrifice paladin, then things tend to change quite a bit. And shout out to Yuji and Ginto, by the way. What's going on, guys? You remember Ginto, right? Hi.
Yeah, we're in Panda, I think.
Yeah. And well, Yuji, I don't think Yuji played anymore, but Yuji's around. Are you still a sacrifice Palian and A, Ginto? Wait, are you on what call it? Are you on Gaga Bootyful? Because I have access to that account too, by the way. I asked yeah, Shania? Yeah. I asked him too. So I still have access to that account. You probably noticed it too. Like I log into it sometimes. Just to like check paladin stats, because the person who's actually responsible for the paladin guide that's gonna come out is Shania. He I mean, obviously it's I think it's no contest. He was like the #1 paladin in in NA. I don't think anybody actually comes close, like with the amount of like boss cards that guy had and just gear in general. So should be 40. No, it doesn't matter, Noniam. You're gonna die regardless. That's how much I care. I can't think of a time you weren't there. Yuji, is that for me or Thai?
Probably you, because we never met.
Um. But yeah, pretty much like that's. I mean, that's pretty much all we had to talk to discuss like tonight, right? Like in terms of the podcast, we covered everything. So I think we can probably end the podcast here, and I'll go ahead and pull it and just do minimal edits to it. Edit the intro a little bit and then like the ending a little bit, because like last time I tried to like do all these jump cuts, it took me like 12 hours to edit. So but yeah, again, thanks everybody for coming to the Dynasty Podcast. I know it's been a while, but we are going to try to do this as consistently as we can. Again, it was 100% my fault because like it got really, really, really busy, and I completely forgot that we were even doing podcasts at one point. Like that's how messed up my sleep schedule was. But yeah, Thai, thank you for being patient with me, because like I'm surprised you didn't yell at me at this point.
No, I figured you were busy because, taking care of a whole guild and all that content creation.
Yeah. But it's still no excuse for bad memories. I should have like set an alarm or something. But get better with that. I've set alarms now just to remind myself. That way there's no way that I forget. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions of like what you want us to discuss for like the next podcast, we could try to add that along. And as you guys notice, our usual routine is that we discuss the things that we want to, like we were, just like think of discussing in the podcast itself, and then towards the end we'll take in questions from the audience as well. So with that said, thank you for everybody for coming, and hope to see you here again next Sunday with my co-host Thai. Thai, would you like to lead us out? I know I'm putting you on the spot again.
All right. First off, shout out to my boy M2K.
2K.
And Elfie and even.
Did they put you up to this?
Yes. They pointed a gun at me.
I knew it, man. As soon as you said it, I knew. In my head, I was like, "There's no way she's doing this like willingly." Oh my god.
But...
Okay, last question. Last question. Thai, you answer this one, okay? M2K says that he has a question before we end.
Okay.
Trav, what's the question? Oh, Thai, his question. Debate or M2K?
In what regards?
I have no idea.
How about M2Bay?
M2Bay. Alright, okay, so let's end the podcast with that. Alright, everybody, good night. See you next week.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.